Hello, world. This is Adrian Hackney, and welcome to another episode of Not Your Average Boss. So today, I'm gonna kind of do the episode a little different. Kind of want to style it a little bit and talk about um, the equity theory. And I don't have a blog for this right now, so or a blog post for this right now. So that's why I say freestyle it, because it's just the thought I've been thinking about. Actually, the thought came to me when I found one of my papers, and I think it was my organizational leadership class, business management, one of those classes, I believe, when I was in college to obtain my bachelor's of science in organizational leadership. But it was one of the papers that I did well on, and I got a 5 out of 5 on the topic because I was intrigued by it. The equity theory. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear or think about the equity theory? When we look at equity, we know that's basically, something that accumulates over time, something that's built up. It kind of means different things when it comes to like different markets. Like your house, you have equity in your home if your home is more now, far as worth more now than it was when you first purchased the home. So you have equity there. So say your home was $200,000 when you bought it, and now it's $300,000. So you have that $100,000 equity in that home now. So it's just an accumulation of value in a particular product or a particular purchase or a particular item that we own. But when we think about the equity theory, when it's applied to leadership and when it's applied to our business and economics and our when it comes to that leadership role and employee role and our leader employee relationship, it's the input versus the output, or actually the input equaling the output, meaning what I put in, I expect to get in return. So if I put education in 100% of my effort in, my professionalism, my value, what I bring to the table, and I expect to be compensated accordingly. I expect to, for the company to, compensate me what I'm worth. I expect them, the leaders to treat me how I treat them, and my worth. So it's basically, is it equal? If I have 50 things that, I contribute to the role as far as my skills and my communication or whatever that your skills are, that you have, that you bring to the table, I expect the company to accommodate me accordingly. So that's what the equity theory is, as far as a high level overview of it. And it's interesting when you think about that now, and you would try to apply it to today's workforce and the mindset of today's employees. And we know things change with the pandemic, and a lot of work from home jobs were created because of that, which could be a good thing, and it could also be a challenge because you have to change up how you do things. Meetings were over Zoom, and the contacts weren't as personal because you're talking to them through a camera. I mean, you still can make good contacts, but it wasn't as personal as being at the site and actually talking to people face to face. It's a little, you have to adjust. Everybody had to adjust, and it wasn't comfortable at first. It was we were running around on fire a lot of times with like chicken with their head cut off a lot of times, because we were trying to figure out what's going on. And it was tough at first, but we found a way, and we made it work the best of our ability. And it doesn't mean that we didn't have challenges we had to overcome. It didn't mean that we lost employees as far as attrition and things like that. But we did the best we could when it came to adjusting and trying to accommodate in that type of environment, the work from home environment. But a lot of and from your personal experience, when it comes to a new job, a lot of times it's predicated on what it pays. Like if we are looking for a job, if we're in the market for a job, if we're, updating our resumes and we're, looking to change careers or looking to advance in our career, a lot of times we look at the salary and what it pays. And, that is usually brought upon by our present situation, what our bills look like, our debt to income ratio. And, we look at those aspects when we are considering a job opportunity. It does, what's the, in my area, what is the going rate for this position, or nationally, what's the going rate? Because, your area may not be as built up, or, the economy of that area may not be as, lucrative, or, it may not be as, not really upscale, but in advance, I guess you want to say, like, compared New York to, somewhere out in Utah, whatever the case is. Not saying Utah don't have beautiful places and, the economy there is not thriving and booming and there's great jobs there. But I mean, city versus country type, or rural living, there's a difference in as far as the cost. You go to California from, Tennessee, you're definitely going to see a jump in costs when it comes to things, and, houses cost more, and gas may cost more, and just the area alone, you may be paying more, and you may have say you have a 6-figure job there in California. It's like you're working a job where you're making $50,000 or $60,000 somewhere else, because I mean the cost of living is higher there, and so those are all taken into consideration when it comes to us looking for a job, and looking for a job that can compensate us based on what we believe we're worth. And sometimes you just need to take an entry-level job to just get the ball rolling on starting your life, and you may be young, or you may be freshly out of school, or you may be in school and need some income while you're attending and things like that, and while you're waiting on financial aid to come through, or grants and things like that. You need some extra income to live off of. You want to become your own person, and don't want to live off your parents anymore, which is great. You want to start your own life. I left home at 19 to start my life in the military, and that gave me a stepping stone to figure out things. I had a lot of challenges along the way, homeless, saying, for a few months, things like that. Didn't have a really good idea of how to handle money, so was broke a lot. Had to ask my parents for money and things like that to get through sometimes, but it created character. It built really some perseverance and some strong attributes in those times where I was challenged. So, you may be challenged right now. You may be looking at your situation like, man, this is never going to change, or, man, I got to depend on my parents right now. That's okay. Humble yourself. Don't be like, I'm not going to ask for no help and things like that. Yeah, you want to try to work it out on your own, but if you really need help, reach out, and just a side note or sidebar, we know that Mental Health Awareness Month was last month, and do what you have to do to take care of your mental health. With all the craziness and tragedy and devastation that's going on in the world right now, please do your best to take care of yourself and take a moment to reflect on the good things in your life, because there is good things, regardless of all the bad things, because there's a lot of bad things, there's a lot of negativity and negative situations we could point out and look at and be like, man, my life is terrible, and this world is crazy, it's never going to get better. And granted, the outside world, country, maybe it may not, it may get worse, what I'm saying, but what can we do in our circle, in our control, to live the best life we can, and that is go to school. That is try to find a career that, you feel fulfilled in, because ultimately that's what, finding that job, finding that career that you feel fulfilled in the most. And you may not make as much money. It may be, you take a hit when it comes to that, but you're happier, look at that, because there's a lot of stressful jobs out there. Every job has its own, stress. There's pros and cons in every job. Even if you're working your own business endeavor, you're an entrepreneur, there's still things that and challenges that arise that make you question this choice. So you got to look at that. Doesn't mean that you're not, following, the right path as far as your passion is concerned, and you're not following down the plan, or walking out the plan that you set, and the goals you set for yourself. Doesn't mean that you're not on target for those things, but challenges come up, life happens, unexpected events occur, unexpected expenses occur. So we have to take all of those into consideration when it comes to looking for a job. But please take care of yourself, and mentally, physically, do the best you can to keep yourself in the right state of mind, because it's hard out here. If you deal with depression or anxiety, PTSD, or any mental challenges, it is hard to deal with. Some days you feel good, some days you don't. Some days, you don't even know why you're down. You just deal with it. You don't want to be bothered by anybody. You want to be alone, or you're triggered easy, or those are things that you deal with, and and it's hard to cope at times. But make sure you have that support group. Make sure you're reaching out who you need to reach out to professionally, and things like that, to give you some type of security blanket, or give you some type of structure that you need, or some type of guidance and a plan that you can put in place to help you get through those times, to help you cope with those better. So I just wanted to throw that out there, if you are dealing with that, man, because those two signs in the back of me, like I have different sayings in my office that help me keep that mindset of man, I'm challenged right now. I'm not having a good day right now, and most days are challenging, but I still believe the best is yet to come, and I still believe I'm capable of amazing things, and ultimately believe with God all things is possible. So if I believe those things, and I could, even the days I don't feel like I believe them, or even the days I look at it like I don't even try to pay it no mind and don't even acknowledge it, or it's like whatever. And the last one is there's no place like home, basically. But if there the days that I don't really care about that stuff on my wall, and I don't even want to do nothing to be bothered with, I have to still find some motivation to push myself through it, and look at it like, man. And it's a lot of times, you may find yourself in a dry place, or a place where you're desolate place, or a place where you're challenged, and you get, you see something or hear something on social media, or somebody calls you out the blue, or you get a text that's encouraging, or what I'm saying. So just know that you are special, you are needed, you are wanted, you are created in the image of God. You are his precious work, a mighty work, a great work, wonderful work, and you have a job to do, and you have purpose. So just I wanted to encourage you with that on today. But we're talking about the equity theory, and Top Gun, the movie Top Gun, the new one came out not too long ago, Maverick, and that one, it was, I didn't really, I knew of Top Gun, and I knew kind of what it was about, but I never really watched it back in the day. It was recently on Netflix. I think it's off of Netflix now, but it was recently on Netflix all of last month, and I was like, I'll check it out. And then I kind of looked at the buzz around, or the box office for the new one, and it's killing it right now. If you may not like Tom Cruise as a human being, with all the things that can go on and stuff like that he deals with, and things like that, religion, and stuff like that. But as an actor, he's a great actor, and you can't take that away. But you may not agree with what he lives, and as far as believes, but the acting is good, and he does make good movies. And I watched Top Gun, and not the new one, but the old one, and I read about the new one, saw reviews on the new one, and videos and things like that. No spoilers, but the gist of it is the Top Gun is an academy for the top pilots, naval aviators in the world, or in the country. Top Gun is it's like a super high honor that that each Navy personnel wants to achieve when they go to this academy. It's like an esteemed academy, prestigious academy, and they want to be the Top Gun, and graduate as Top Gun. So, and Tom Cruise character, he is Maverick. So the new movie is called Top Gun Maverick. So it's about him. and things. So I'm not going to give it away. I'm trying to watch what I say because I don't want to give it away. I mean, you can watch reviews online, you know what I'm saying? They don't really, there's no, I mean, there may be some spoiler reviews out there, but try to avoid those if you go see the movie. But the general idea of the movie is basically he's going back to Top Gun to handle some things, and runs into, past situations that challenge him, and as an individual and as well as a leader. So I wanted to use that in the title as well, as far as the equity theory. Top Gun is what I'm gonna title it when I do write the blog post on it. But it deals with, and the perspective of it is really relatable, because you're say you're a new recruit, and you're rocking and rolling, and you're doing big things. You got on paper you've done this, and not just on paper, but you actually achieved what other people haven't done, and but people look at you, their perspective, you're on one hand you are done great things, and man, your reputation precedes you in a good way, but it also precedes you in a bad way, because of your antics and being a Maverick. You're headstrong, you're trying to do your own thing, and create your own lane, and see things differently than how it's written. Hey, you got to do X, Y, and Z. Now I'm gonna do A, B, and C, and then I may consider X, Y, and Z. That's kind of how Maverick approaches things in his approach in the movie. As far as the original Top Gun, and also some of that in the new one. But when I watched the original, I was like, man, this is for one, I mean, the soundtrack's cool, man. It's got a cool soundtrack. It's the 80s, man. You gotta love it. I'm an 80s baby, so I love 80s music still. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not ashamed to say I like Take My Breath Away. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So, but I also like classic. I like R&B, things like that, man. Rock and roll. So I like it all, man. If it moves me, if it has a good message, if it's energetic, things like that, I like it. But he wouldn't, I wouldn't say he had a problem with authority, but he kind of was headstrong, you know what I'm saying? And he still said sir, he still had respect, you know what I'm saying? But ultimately he saw things in a different perspective, and his equity, as far as when it comes to the theory, the input, a lot of times it didn't match the output, because they looked at him as just a rebel. They looked at him as some degenerate, some delinquent that was just going to cause issues, some rebellious, dangerous pilot. And he did some dangerous things. I don't know if you've seen the movies, but and I'm not, so I don't want to, like I said, spoil either one. I mean, because I don't know where you could watch it at now. As far as the original Top Gun, you probably could watch it on some type of streaming service. But it was really encouraging, and I like to look at things from a leadership perspective, because he kind of redeemed himself at the end of the movie, and he kept on trying to prove himself, though on paper he had this paper trail of good merit, and paper trail of good accomplishments and awesome achievements. He also had the paper trail of being a delinquent and insubordinate and things like that. So he had the positive and negative thing going on. So but he put a lot of work into it, though. He still didn't want to jeopardize his team. He still wanted to, see everybody come home. He still wanted to, make the Navy proud, make his leaders proud, and establish a good name for himself. So he wanted to do big things as a pilot. So, and that, kind of relates to and translates over to, the corporate world, or your business, or your entrepreneurial endeavor, or your life, because, we want to, and we aspire to do great things, and